Trump lawyer opens up on Comey with both barrels as he accuses him of leaking privileged information to reporters and confirms the president was never under investigation. President Donald Trump's lawyer Mark Gassance took a victory lap Thursday following the blockbuster testimony of fired FBI Director James Comey, saying the much-anticipated Senate hearing proved what the White House has been saying for months. And he hammered Comey for releasing information about his conversations with the president to reporters in an attempt to force the appointment of a special counsel inquest into Russian election interference. Today, Mr. Comey admitted that he unilaterally and surreptitiously made unauthorized disclosures to the press of privileged communications with the president, Gassance said in a statement. And contrary to numerous false press accounts leading up to today's hearing, he added, Mr. Comey has now finally confirmed publicly what he repeatedly told the president privately: the president was not under investigation as part of any probe into Russian interference. Mr. Comey's testimony also makes clear that the president never sought to impede the investigation into attempted Russian interference in the 2016 election, Gassance claimed. Gassance, the president's outside counsel who is responsible for looking after his personal interests, not those of the presidency, delivered his statement in writing and orally following the former FBI director's testimony to the Senate Intelligence Committee. The smallish gathering at the National Press Club who heard him speak in person was an unconventional coda to an unprecedented day that saw the White House forced to deny Trump is a liar. Gassance instead called Comey a liar, calling into question the memos that comprise the bulk of his testimony. Trump never pressured Mr. Comey, he insisted. And the president also never told Mr. Comey, I need loyalty, I expect loyalty and for more substance. Both claims were part of Comey's written and oral presentations. Gassance read his statement and left the podium without taking questions. Comey declared Thursday that the White House defamed him, and that he wrote detailed memos about his conversations with the president as a hedge against Trump lying about their discussions in the future. I can definitively say that the president's not a liar, and I think it's frankly insulting that that question would be asked, White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders told reporters. Her short press briefing was sandwiched in between Comey's public hearing and a private classified session with the senators. Also in the lunch hour, Trump himself delivered a speech to a Christian evangelical group, declaring that America's doomed worship government, we worship God. Gassance sought to place blame on Comey, especially for his embarrassing revelation that he leaked parts of a private memo on a conversation with Trump to reporters through a third party, a law professor friend. He referred to Trump's talks with Comey as privileged 4 times, without acknowledging that the White House declined to assert a claim of executive privilege over any of those conversations before Comey testified. Comey testified, Gassance recounted, that immediately after he was terminated he authorized his friends to leak the contents of these memos to the press in order to prompt the appointment of a special counsel. Although Mr. Comey testified he only leaked the memos in response to a tweet, the public record reveals that the New York Times was quoting from these memos the day before the referenced tweet, which belies Mr. Comey's excuse for this unauthorized disclosure of privileged information and appears to entirely retaliatory. We will leave it the appropriate authorities to determine whether this leaks should be investigated along with all those others being investigated, he said. Gassance had already weighed in Wednesday evening, after the Senate committee released Comey's written testimony a day ahead of his public hearing. That account confirmed that Comey had told Trump on 3 separate occasions that he wasn't the target of any FBI investigation. The president is pleased that Mr. Comey has finally publicly confirmed his private reports that the president was not under investigation in any Russia probe, Gassance wrote Wednesday. The president feels completely and totally vindicated. Thursday's statement began less confidently, with Gassance misspelling the word president. I am Mark Gassance, he wrote, predecessor Trump's personal lawyer. Gassance also misspelled the last name of Dan Coats, his statement rendered of Coats-, who is the director of national intelligence.